Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and another one video. Before we start, this is a bit annoying like all of the YouTube channels do, but if you could give the video a like if you enjoy it, it would really help me out. It would help the channel to grow and for more people to find the video. So here, we're just making Professor McGonagall's wand. I'm just at the moment just getting it down on my wood turning lathe, getting it down to the right sort of size. Then here, as you can see, I'm just drawing the lines onto it, just picking out the points where the sort of nodules on the handle of her wand are. And then going back into it with varying different types of wood turning chisel and just notching it out. You see there, I've got basically a reference drawing that I made from pictures from the wand off of Google. And I'm just going back and forth, constantly checking, because it's a very complicated sort of fully turned wand. There's not any sort of working back into it really with a rotary tool or anything. It's all on the lathe. And there, I'm just going back and forth, just making sure it's the perfect size compared to the reference drawing that I've made. And here with the wand, I've always found with wand builds that because they are incredibly thin wood by the end of the build, you start off obviously originally with a big chunk of wood, but then you machine it further and further down, and as you get to around 10 or 11 mil, which is just under half an inch, it starts to get very, very flexible and wobbly. So what I've done, the part of the one that I needed to be super detailed, I've put right up to the sort of chuck end of the actual the spindle end of the lathe, so that I can keep it very, very fine and get it to be precise. And then I'm just working down, trying to get the rest of the wand just to be thinner, but not too thin until I need it to be, so I don't get too much of a vibration when I'm trying to do detail. And here you can see I've just gone in with varying degrees of sandpaper just to try to get the main shaft of the wand down to an okay size. So I'm using a big sort of 80 grit sanding disc, which is from actually an angle grinder. Then going back in with 120, 240 and then 360 grit sandpaper. What I'm doing at the moment on the wand is just, I've got the nodules and the shapes on the handle, but I'm just trying to get like sort of real crisp edge. So where the nodule goes up and then comes back down to the main shaft of the wand, I'm trying to get it to have a nice, lovely crisp edge. So I'm using a pointed sort of chisel just to get it to be a very, very precise edge as it goes back on. Now that I've done the main shaft of the wand, and then going back into the back of the handle, so it's a lot of little nodules. You can see there I've got the main big one that the handle has, but then going back in, doing the little nodules there, and because I haven't got the perfect sort of wood turning chisels to use for these sort of shapes, what I'm having to do is just use the point of some of the chisels to pick out the sort of curve of the nodules, and then sometimes use things like files, very, very fine grade files, just to go in and just rock it onto the piece of wood and get it to form that curve, and then obviously sandpaper as well. Here again as well, you can see every so often in the video, I'm just going in with my digital calipers, just making sure, going from the reference pictures, reference photos as well, to the actual wand on the lathe, making sure that it's the perfect size. Then, once the wand has been perfectly sanded all the way, I then need to cut the wand off of the lathe using a hacksaw, obviously not whilst it's moving, just slowly. And then I take the actual wand over to my bandsaw and I chop the very end off of it. Then, there was certain, all the way along the handle of McGonagall's wand, there on the top of the nodules on the handle, there are little grooves, and basically the lathe was wobbling quite a bit because it didn't have a proper chuck back then. The lathe was wobbling quite a bit and I didn't want to use a tool just to do that, so I then do it by hand here, and I just carve it out with a hacksaw blade, and then it's just doing the jewel at the end, which I shape with a rotary tool and then sand down nice and smooth with varying degrees of sandpaper. It's then as well going back in, as I say, because the lathe was wobbling a little bit, I then go back in with a rotary tool and just neaten up certain edges with diamond bits, so it's the edge there as you can see in front of the handle, and then I also go out and just do the sort of the nodule, can't think of a better word, the nodule that sort of dictates where the actual shaft of the wand starts and the handle ends in the middle of it. Then chopping the end off and then sanding it smooth using again different grades of sandpaper, and then I just run over the whole wand just to make sure it's super smooth. The paint that I go on to use then is Daler & Rowney System 3 acrylic, and it's burnt umber paint. And on the video I've got, I'm showing you basically one coat, but it actually takes 2 coats to get it a deep enough colour. And then from the nodule in the middle of the handle, of the wand, sorry, to the end is black, so that's just black paint. And then to get with McGonagall's wand, it's quite an old wand, and it's aged when you see reference photos of the props. So basically what I did was I mixed up a sort of, it's not a brown that you can just buy off the shelf. I mixed up a brown with some cream, and just to try to get it into a bit of almost a dusty colour. And then each time I did this, which is dry brushing, each time I did a layer of dry brushing, I'd add a little bit more cream colour just to get it to be a little bit more dusty. And then here by the end, you start to see, once I've dry brushed it, which is just wiping off most of the paint on the brush and then just catching the paint over the edges of the wand. Here, I've just got it to that nice dusty sort of consistency. Then, once I dry brushed the handle, I then went on to the jewel, which I painted an undercoat of yellow to get it sort of shine through, and then on top of that did almost a mother of pearl sort of effect on the top, just to get it to look like a jewel. And then here you can see I'm just going over the entire handle with it's basically Citadel Miniatures paint. It's Devlan mud that just sinks into all the crevices and gaps and makes it look nicely weathered. And then it's going over the whole wand with 2 coats of a clear varnish, and it's satin varnish, so it doesn't glare, it doesn't look ridiculously plasticky, just nicely coats everything, makes it a nice hard strong shell. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching, hope you enjoy the video, please like, comment and subscribe for more, thank you.